Where was that first property and what was the purchase price?
The first one was in the Central Coast. So that was around the Wyong kind of region. Purchase price of that one was $138,000. So yeah, super cheap, affordable. Like my borrowing capacity was like $140 at the time.
So you went right to the top of what you could get.
Yeah.
And did you put down a 10, 12, 20% deposit? How did you finance that?
That one was a 10% deposit. So it was about, 13,000 roughly, plus stamp duty, all that stuff came from about 20 grand,
Lovely stuff. And even at that stage of making that initial purchase, did you know that you wanted to build something larger, so an actual portfolio rather than just the one?
A little bit. I thought then, maybe have 2 or 3 properties.
Yeah.
But I didn't think getting to like 16 at 27, that wasn't my goal at that stage. I had that more old school mentality where I'd buy 1 or 2 or 3 and then just pay them off as soon as possible.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
So that's what I first thought, and then I remember like writing down and books and on bits of piece of paper, like how long will it take me to pay these off, pay 1 or 2 or 3 off, and then I was like, what will that give me in income when I'm 25? And then I realized that wasn't going to work. I'd have to leverage more to build something bigger.
To get there. So was you working out at that stage the annual income from the property minus the operating costs like management fees, insurances and stuff with you, so it leaves you with your net income that you've got, and then at that stage you realise, you know what, I need quite a few.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I was like, even without loans on them, if I have 2 or 3 and they're rented out for like $300 a week, $400, I'm like, well, that's still not going to be quite enough.
Yeah.
And it's going to take me a long time just to pay them off, the normal way.
So why settle for something that's mediocre?
Yeah.
So you got property number 1 on the Central Coast.
Yes.
How did you then leverage to get into property number 2?
Yeah, property number 2, it was probably my biggest mistake of waiting about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. I didn't really do anything after that. I was 18, I just kind of went off and partied. But I kept saving after that, so I saved up another 10% deposit roughly. But coming to purchase number 2, that was a 3-bedroom house in Adelaide.
Yeah.
I did use half savings, half equity, even though I could have used all the savings, but yeah.
Okay, cool. What area of Adelaide is that?
That was in the Salisbury area, so it was north of Adelaide, probably about 25 minutes, not as far up.
I've got a couple of properties in, Evanston Park.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
That was my first property purchase, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, my understanding of that market is maybe it's a lower social demographic. As a result, you get better yields. And some of the properties around there have development potential also.
Absolutely, and like for me, I grew up in Mount Druitt in Western Sydney, so very like similar kind of suburb. For me, I was like, oh, that doesn't seem all too bad. But now looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can kind of see whether what people say. But a lot of the people don't realise that those areas, and like everyone told me, don't invest in Western Sydney and your Penriths and your Blacktowns and all that kind of stuff, but they've gone up ridiculous amounts. A lot of people have said don't buy there now. Like, you wish you bought there.
That's right, mate. Yeah. So you got 2 properties now in the portfolio. Was it looks as though from those both also that the yield would have been pretty good. Was that a conscious decision at this stage? You wanted to find properties that you could leverage to purchase more, but also balance that yield?
That's exactly right. Like at the time, especially on my second property, like I was on a really low income.
Yeah.
So I realized that, if not from one aspect would be the borrowing aspect, would being able to continue having a borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
But I'd have the property take care of itself from an income expense point of view, because I didn't have much money to put towards it.
So it had to be, that was one of the key criteria of finding an opportunity.
100%, yeah. It'd always have to have like a really high rental return would be the main thing, but still kind of in a metro area as well.
Yeah.
So like I've known a lot of people that have bought in regional areas and that kind of stuff, because you get 7, 8, 9, 10% yields.
Indeed.
But then I've kind of realised that you can still get those kind of high yields in metro areas, but you just kind of look outside the box.